Welcome back to Deviant Racing League race fans. My name is Webbo, here to continue the struggle to try and bring you the best possible stream here on the Assetto Corsa Competizione division within Deviant Racing League. We're at Barcelona Catalunya circuit for the next round of the championship. That, of course, is race 3 of the total 9. I was going to bring you some news on the championship. No surprises for guessing who is at the head of the championship. That would be Vic, of course. But I don't have the latest standings on the leaderboard that I just went to go and have a look. I still can't figure out exactly which of the settings in the HUD and display I can try to bring you. Unfortunately, so I'm kind of stuck using the controller. None of my keyboards will work. I've cleaned up the screen a little bit, and we'll just be trying to guess which car we will see at any given time. We've taken off those annoying display areas. There's elements to do with driver name everywhere. The driver currently being displayed on screen is the one on the bottom left highlighted. So that should help us a little bit. I hope everybody's doing well. Do speak up, do say hello, and tell me who you're cheering for as we watch Jim, or Jano, here in currently P10. It's qualifying. There are 9.5 minutes remaining of the qualifying session, and then of course we go for a 1-hour race around this this challenging, little bit of everything kind of racetrack. This on screen then is Chaotica. We also have Copa, who will be debuting in our ACC for the very first time here. Copa, traditionally a VR driver. This game, unfortunately, does not yet have the VR capability, so he's having to slum it with everybody else and try, of course, to do his best here for the session. I'm sorry. I pressed the button that has been killing my session every single time. I will do my best to get in and then never ever press that button ever again. Okay, we'll go back to stream starting soon screen, unfortunately, for a couple of minutes. Please bear with me. Okay, so it's just the pressing of the wrong button, unfortunately, that we have a problem with. Let's try and never touch that again, and we will follow our fantastic drivers along then, as this is Viciously Vic. I seem to have lost my my standing screen as well now, so that's fantastic. Vic running though P1, as you'd expect there in the Ferrari, traditional Ferrari racing colours. We've got the red and the yellow accents then, as he tries to make sure he's got enough clear room on the session here to see exactly what he needs to see and get his way through. I can't believe that the that everything has changed already, unfortunately, but there you go. This is a bit of a lottery with ACC, unfortunately. Keyboard wasn't functioning. I tried to find the right setting on the settings list, but for some reason Viciously Vic is now just slowing and just trying to get that that clear racing room for his final lap attempts, I think. But P1 at the moment of the 9-in class, the GT3 class here. Let's have a look then at Backmarker Racing. Might be good to just get on board with him. I'm looking for a good camera angle here. Here we go. Now we're talking. I'm getting absolutely deafened by the inside of this Mercedes AMG. The only Mercedes we've had beforehand, although it looks like, is that Zanshin who's turned up in a Mercedes AMG for the race today. The wrong gloves on, unfortunately, for Backmarker Racing, who's wearing the Nismo gloves. Needs to make sure that his team can furnish him with a better set of equipment there. Nissan Nismo, his gloves there with the exterior stitching, of course. And just clearing this this session. And why did the screen come back? I have no idea. But anyway, we have 5 minutes remaining of qualifying. This is Backmarker Racing. Kind of lived up to his name last time we were here on the channel. We'll maybe skip to another driver who might be going a little bit quicker. There is Chaotica then. He's driving in the GT4. You can tell the GT4's on the lower left of your screen because they have the triangles in the lower right of their driver number. He is first in class, first of the 5 drivers in class. As I try to find, we've got the rear view mirror there in the top right of screen. I'm not going to press hide UI because that's what has been crashing our session the whole time. But if you are watching with us, do say hello, do let me know who you're supporting. Always good to have company here and adding some flavour to the stream as much as possible. It's better than me just chatting my way through on my own. Hopeful of a good race. Despite these issues that we keep having, we're going to have to spend some time with more than one driver in a session to try and figure this all out. But unfortunately, I'm getting very little time between game crashes at this time. This is Mr. Fish then. He's rocking the, I think it's kind of a purpley cerise colour and light green on the car. It's good to use the driver eye view here for qualifying at least. And this is him in his Porsche. He's in the GT3 session. And we just had a little flash of the radar that the driver gets when another car is nearby. I thought I'd turn that off. But anyway, traversing difficult turn 7 and 8 before heading through turn 9. Bit of a blind exit turn 9. And then we head down towards turn 10. Potential overtaking opportunity. This is the slowest corner from the longest straight setup. There is a longer straight but a faster corner following it there into turn 1. Then it's very much you've got to follow my leader through here. Oh, big understeer, big washout there for Mr. Fish, who has been in fantastic form in the GT World Challenge in the GTD League. You can find that on this channel, both replay and of course next weekend from the time of this video broadcast. As he gets a double yellow, goes out wide. I wonder if that will disqualify this lap for him. 2 minutes 20 remaining in qualified. Mr. Fish is 6th of the 9 in his class at the moment. Larry's in the pits. Larry had all manner of problems, pretty much every problem you can get at the end of the previous race, but he's certainly hoping for more out of this one. This is Bonget then, another driver who's going very well on GT7 right now. So he'll be hoping to continue that kind of run of form. Just need to check in with Larry here and let him know that the stream is on. The stream should be on. Just verifying that the stream is on. We've got a message that it is running. I guess that might teach me. No, we are on. Good. Just fantastic. Okay. That's reassuring. I've got 2 watches anyway. Okay, so this then is Bonget. We've got 1 minute and 9 remaining as he heads down into turn 1. Unfortunately, hasn't got a lot of racing room here. to make his qualifying attempt really stick. The driver in front will almost certainly be on a hot lap at this stage. So a little mistiming there from Bongit. Currently 5th of the 9 drivers running in class, in the GT3 class, that is. Hoping for a decent run then is Bongit, coming up to a GT4 driver and following a GT3 driver, and a GT4 driver that's going to turn in to turn 6 and turn 7 and 8. Excuse me. This is the probably backmarker racing then in the white Mercedes AMG. Getting an early turn in, but very compromised line then for Bongit. Couldn't go out wide. Couldn't judge the run there. In we go. And braking heavily into turn 10. Max wait time qualifying has elapsed, so we need to then run into get the checkered flag. And this lap will count. His best so far of 1:47.2. His last lap was a 47.0. That must have included a penalty because it hasn't counted unless it was an out lap. As we run through then the final corner. Good grip on the exit there. And away we go to the line. And that was a 46.8. He did lift himself up, but in time, but not position, into P5 overall. Then this is the head of the GT4 league. This is not Siam, currently the GT4 class. So, all good there. Larry has found the stream now, so that's reassuring. Wondering whether the Deviant Racing banner is kind of in the wrong place for ACC. But we'll leave it be for now, because it's in the perfect place for our GT7 league. So this then is the finishing order for qualifying. We have Viciously Vic ahead of Komakopa, debuting with us and scoring a P2 in qualifying. Komakopa, Viciously Vic, as I said before, no surprises. And I think we'll be looking at ways to slow him down somewhat. Komakopa in P2 with Larry in P3. Fantastic qualifying from Larry. Nate in 4th place and Mr. Fish in 5th. With Bongit in 6th, Zanshin in 7th, and Timid Umbria in 8th position. And then we've had some slower drivers, which means that we've got the first of the GT4 drivers, not Siam, in 9th position. Chaotica in 10th. Edward Ned or Preston in 11th, and Backmarker Racing in 12th. Jimana is in 13th. Priest was the GT3 driver, unable to set a time in qualifying, unfortunately for him. I'm trying to locate my correct camera work here for the race. I'm sure it was R1. Do not press square. Do not press square. I can't drive, unfortunately. Okay. Shout up if you're joining us in the chat and you've got experience with ACC as to which of my control options I need in order to set this control binding. You got to see what I want. What happened up there? Shift up and down. Light stages. It's not that. UI advanced. Traction. Engine map. Nope, it's none of those. Okay. Well, like it should be. Anyway, let's hope that the game allows me to stay in the race here as we wait for the drive command to start. I still do have the option available here. Let's see if I can find the right thing. We've got dash page. I don't think that's it. Electronics, lighting, view. Cycle camera is triangle. I thought it would be standings, and it's not. MFD up and down, that's not him. Real-time position. Nope, doesn't want to do that. I'll try L3. We'll try whatever we can. So Viciously Vic on pole. Comacopa alongside him on the way in down into turn 1. We will have a bit of a good run, I think, for them. So let's see what we can do then for everything. We've got. I'm just going to check in with the driver chat room, see what everyone has been talking about. Mr. Fish got himself disconnected, unfortunately. So waiting to get underway for you. Love to know if you're watching with us live. What are your podium predictions here? We shall see. Got something to do with profile. Okay.
30 seconds.
Don't want that. 30 seconds to go. 30 seconds to go. I should now be able to press drive. What a great camera angle that was. Okay, that is going. I'm just completely at sea then with the discussions. I've got somewhere near the front. I've got Nate in P4. What a horrible, horrible camera angle to start the race this is. But as soon as we start getting going, I'm sure it will be a lot easier to see. 1 hour of racing awaits us here, local time of 2:10 p.m. I think it might be even later than that, given the fact that the headlights are on already. We're looking for those lights. We're looking to get underway. Here they go then, in their formation lap setting and getting ready to go. Mr. Fish reminding everybody to remember to stretch here. We have got some precipitation, some wet track surface for the drivers to deal with. That will presumably iron out any issues with our mandatory pit stops. We've got a spin in the background, unfortunately. Somebody has just spun. There he is. It's Jim. And I wonder if he's tried to start on the dry tyres. He's reset to the pits. I wonder if he started to try on the old dry tyres there. I do not get this at all. I'm just skipping around until I find somebody reasonably near the front. There's Larry in the black and red Team Redline style colours. So we get ready for this. We've got Larry then in that P3 and ready to get underway. We will go side by side for the start of this 1 hour race. Extremely strict racing rules, as Larry found out, although that was more to do with pit lane entry and consistent speed limits in the pits there. But Larry hoisted somewhat by his own petard, trying to make sure they have incredibly strict racing rules. That was a little bit of a side-by-side unexpected move from the McLaren down the inside. Viciously Vic has stretched himself ahead here before the start of the race, and certainly Larry and Nat need to, and Comacopa I should say, needs to just make sure that they are lined up a little bit better than this. Comacopa, this is his first race start with ACC, with the league anyway, so there's plenty to be learning. He's certainly got the pace in qualifying. He's got his favoured Porsche car that he drives in GT7 in the GT3 Pro League. He's got the Porsche, so there's an element of similarity there for him, as I think that's the GT4 cars just getting reorganised for the start. They will, of course, get penalties if they're out of position for the start away. As in P3 there on the windshield you'll see 003, and then occasionally it will change to Larry or DVN. I think it probably will be the first 3 letters of his gamer tag. Viciously Vic has got out in front considerably here. I'm not sure whether it's the onus on the following drivers to lock up and get themselves into position. I think they're getting close now, getting ready for the start. That is Viciously Vic, just warming those wet tyres, leaving a little bit of spray behind him, and they get ready to go. Viciously Vic ahead of Comacopa with Larry in P3 and Nate in P4. Larry on the inside there, Nate on the outside in the McLaren. I think that's Mr. Fish just behind them in the 44, and then we slow to an absolute crawl. Hopefully no incidents through here, as Viciously Vic will get the green light. I think he will get the green light on the line to get underway. And 1 hour of racing begins now. It's drop the clutch and go, go, go for the drivers as they scream over and under that starting gantry. Already Comacopa challenging hard then on the way down into turn 1. That is Nate on the outside line and has already got the nose ahead. Let's see what happens though as Comacopa cedes position there to our leader, Viciously Vic, of the championship and the race. Larry going around the outside in the same car as Comacopa. Sometimes the outside in the wetter conditions is better as Larry goes for the cutback. I think that might be as close as it comes for the battle for the lead of this race, but we will keep you entertained with plenty of action throughout the course of this racing hour. But the GT3s are trying to get the tyres up to temperature. It looks like the wet conditions have eased somewhat. They've managed to clear quite a bit of the standing water, and I wonder if the drivers have crept around on dry tyres only to then head through and fit wets later on. We shall obviously try and keep an eye on that, but I don't have a wet tyre display, and I'm not touching that hide UI button ever again during this session. So let's see what we could do. Roy saying smart money on Vic, rooting for Larry. That's very kind of you, Roy. And hi to Kirk Morris as well, saying let's go, guys. So P2, 3, 4 is Comacopa, Larry and Nate. Mr. Fish in 5th place. We've got Zanshin in 6th. At the tail of the GT3s is Bongit at the moment. He has at the tail of the entire order, I think, almost. There is Bongit in the number 80. So I think they're counting me as driving right now. But this then is the battle at the front. You can see Viciously Vic getting out of shape then in the Mickey Mouse section at the end of the circuit. That's Larry heading into the pit lane. Why is Larry heading in? I imagine that's a change of tyres, but they certainly hit some lack of grip in that final sector. Larry jumping on the brakes as you would expect after his pit lane incidents earlier on. Keep your eye on the right hand side of the screen for any race control warnings, but this is Comacopa, as I say, first race with us. Bongit getting a penalty there, a 30-second penalty. I'm not sure, is that starting grid infraction? I think that is. And into the pits comes Timid Umbrian in the BMW, and I think that might be a change of tyres. This is way too early for anybody to be using a scheduled pit stop, of course, and they won't need any fuel at this stage either. So we've got several cars pitting right now, and we've got not see him for the GT3s up to P7, started P9, and he is still running obviously nicely, but Chaotica has got ahead of him. This is not see him then in the Aston Martin. Chaotica in front in the Porsche GT4, and currently running P7 overall, P2 in class here, as we have 4 GT4 drivers with us today. Let's see, how's the car handling? He got himself out onto the grass there. It's out then even wider. I can't quite tell from my commentary angle whether that is tarmac runoff, asphalt runoff I should say, for our US audience through turn 10, but I think that was partly getting 1 or 2 wheels off the circuit there in the wet conditions. You've got to be incredibly careful with that, of course, and a little bit of spray coming off the back of the cars still. This then is Zanshin in P5, and doing his best to try and stay in touch with the leaders. Mr. Fish 2.8 seconds in front of him. Chaotica 8.1 behind, but in a different class of machinery. These drivers have not yet pitted, and they fire out of the final corner. Looks like he was feathering the brakes, or possibly there was some hazard lights flashing on the back of the car. It might be a rain light, in fact, thinking about it. Centre of the back of the Mercedes AMG, car number 40 there. Here's a little bit of battling going on. This is Nate, having been able to stop worrying about Larry for a few minutes, who has pitted for a change, I believe, of tyre. But Nate and Comacopa have stayed out. So I'd love to find out exactly what tyres they're on, but I dare not touch the forbidden button right now. But the McLaren number 189 of Nate staying here with Comacopa. Comacopa, though, is some 3.3 seconds off Viciously Vic's line. That was Nat just heading off circuit, slightly under braking, just as we saw earlier on with a different car, but I think the superior braking capability and stability of the GT3s enabled him to hold on. Not, of course, not least down to the driver skill as well, but stamping on the brakes is Nat, and trying to live with Komakopa. Komakopa's showing amazing pace here in a complete change of simulator platform. You really can't call. I don't like to call GT7 a game, but you really can't call ACC a game by comparison. That is, I think, a lap being put on by our leader on the tail runner right now already, who is struggling out there and picking up quite a bit of dirt on the tyres. That's Backmarker Racing, and Viciously Vic is still weaving aggressively as the second and third place cars, Komakopa and Nat, follow each other past Backmarker Racing. Now Nat peels to the inside. Can he make an overtake here on a offline position? And wary, of course, of running into the car in front. That's the last thing he will want to be happening during the course of the race. But he's got superior speed, especially mid-corner through turn 3 and 4. And this is Nat then coming in towards the sort of reverse parabolica style corner of, well, it's actually very similar to parabolica of turn 4, and then we dive downhill in towards a hairpin corner of turn 5, but downhill and cambered corner, banked down towards the apex, running out wide once again. Drive through has been given to Backmarker Racing. I hope that's not for blue flag infringement, because he was very accommodating. But there we get just a little window, a gap open there for Nat, but he didn't quite feel confident enough to go for it against Komakopa. We'll stay with these guys because I can't predict where my my next driver click will come from and how long it'll take me to get back to this battle. But we'll stay with this battle while it is a battle, and best lap so far, 149.775, and it seems to be with Nat at the moment, if I'm reading the race control correctly. It's Nat in P3, the kind of 189 in the McLaren GT3, chasing down the Porsche, driven smoothly and calmly at the moment by Komakopa. Nat looking a little bit more adventurous at different points on the circuit. That's natural, thanks to the difference in experience here, and running through, picking up the slipstream if he can. But not as close perhaps as he was earlier on. Komakopa getting a little bit more comfortable, I think, at this stage. Let's just change the camera, shall we, so we can just get a slight change of angle here. Going for that wider outside line through turn 3. You need to feather the throttle, wait for the car to grip in, then you can slowly start reapplying the throttle through here as we head down, and then you hear the brakes screaming at Nat for mercy. Very poor rear visibility out that McLaren. You can see the rear, what would be a rear window, is all carbon fibre, apart from this tiny little pillar box of view that will allow him to see through the mirror. This is if there were a passenger seat, this is the passenger seat view for Nate, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to shout because of the game sound here on board. I should probably have to turn down the ACC game sound here, because I know Larry is not a fan particularly of competing game sound with Lead. Look, that's a really good run on the inside. Komakopa leaving space, so is Nate, and round the outside through turn 12. Can Nat hold on? He's getting 2 wheels out, but he's managed to make the pass now, and I think that will unlock him for some additional pace. Currently P2, and a great overtake from Nat to position his McLaren. It took a lot of patience and a lot of time, but already the gap is opening out to almost a second for Nat here. So I think that that he's now feeling like he's able to set his own pace, and we can perhaps view some different cars momentarily. But the gap down to 0.4 after the slipstream and braking sequence, so it's not all done and dusted just yet. You can see the driver just working the wheel through the corner, but yeah, stretching ahead then at the moment. This is Preston in the mustard yellow or gold Alpine, the only Alpine that the drivers dare to use with the black rear. of the car. This is Preston Edward Nedlow hopping over the curbs. He's running 8th overall, which is a very respectable place. 3rd in class at the moment, but 8th overall. He's living with the tyre choice he made at the start. And then our leader, our fearless leader, Viciously Vic, at 1 with his Ferrari. Wasn't a perfect race, I think, last time. He did have a snafu on circuit, but I'm sure he'll be hoping to eliminate all of that. I'm wondering if I just maybe have a look to see if we might be able to get the tyre display back again, because I'm not sure. I think we're sort of losing something here, where we have we've got tyres app. Is that what we want? The racing HUD. Okay, let's see if that has given us what we want. It has not. This is an absolute mystery tour. Backmarker Racing at the back of our grid, but he's currently P11 of 13 because other drivers have pitted. He's had to serve a stop and go penalty, I believe. That's one of the harsher of the available penalties to the drivers. Chaotica in the black and red Porsche GT4. Some people choose the GT4, the slower car, because they think it will be an easier car to handle, but it has less downforce than the GT3, and so it can be slightly more difficult for the drivers to handle. But we shall. I'm sure that they've chosen their machines carefully. I think they're free to choose. I don't think we have a kind of hierarchy just yet. As this is the inaugural season, so the drivers have just chosen to run different divisions. But he's running P1 in class, Chaotica, and starting to gap, not seeing behind in the Aston Martin. So looking pretty good out there right now. This is Mr. Fish, similar colour scheme, but much more glossy and shiny version to Not Siem's car. Mr. Fish is in the Porsche though, and running. Currently P4 in class here in the GT3. Car number 44. Larry is still in the pits. I think Larry may have had a problem here, and I'm just going to check my chat to see what has happened. Game started him on wets, can't change, and just got to stop and go. This is presumably the stop and go, or no, this is a change. I finally figure out how to change the HUD. Have to do another lap, he says. How to change tyres, I think he means. So I thought he'd actually disconnected being in the pit still, but no, unfortunately, out, having qualified in 3rd position. This is Larry then out of the pit lane, crossing the line on pit exit. I hope there's not a penalty for that. But it says FAR on his driver display on the windshield. Less said about that, the better. On his what his gamer tag actually is, but Larry comes out of the pits then, 8th in class, 12th overall. A lot of work to do for the 77 today, he says. Just got to stop and go. Game started him on wets, and I can't change. I don't think every driver has started on wets though, so clearly it's a much drier condition for us. I'm going to have another go at altering the HUD here. I'm sure I saw it before. It was like gear and speed and that kind of thing. Brake bias, engine speed, ground speed, all of those things. Tyres app. Is that what I'm looking for? So let's go back and see. It's just not coming back on screen. And so there you go. Let's see if we can find a good camera angle then. This is on board then. I'm assuming that top right says dry on his dash. Does that mean tyres? Or is that the declaration of the race condition? This is Bonga in P10. I do think on board it's a little bit tricky to enjoy with the sound, but it's just incredibly loud. It's certainly in my ear anyway. This is over the back wing, of course, for the Porsche. I think trackside is the way to go for our camera work. I Can't get the helicopter cam, which I wish I could, but unfortunately that's not allowed for me. This is Comacopa in P3. We saw him get passed earlier on by Nat. He's now lost 3.9 seconds overall. If anybody is more familiar, can cycle through the MFD. I can't, unfortunately. I'm going to have to change the command for that, I think. But yeah, sadly, none of my buttons are really working properly at all. I've pretty much got as button options what I've got on the top right of the screen, except for the pressing square, which completely kicks me out of the session, it seems, at the moment. Timid Umbrian, P9 in overall. He's 6th in the GT3 class. I think several drivers did struggle with the wet tyres at the start of this, but this is Timid Umbrian then, or TDs as you may know him in GT7. He's got that fantastic... I thought you enabled the app and it showed disabled. Maybe it's not confirming. Thanks, Rohan. I will try and confirm that one. Let's turn stuff on, shall we, and see what happens. Gear and speed. What else is on? What else needs to be on? If you can see something, do let me know. I don't want the virtual mirror particularly. I don't think we need that right now. And then let's try confirm. There we go. Okay, so we have got gear and speed, but I'm not seeing tyre choice for the drivers, unfortunately, at this stage. But Timid Umbrian in that position, or P9 overall. This is not Siam. He is 7th in class, 7th overall, excuse me, 2nd in class. You can still see leader in class Chaotica in front of him. And that Aston Martin sounding and looking fabulous up there. I do think we are missing quite a bit of adjustability when it comes to the liveries. They are quite plain and underwhelming at the moment. But that livery choice is the same choice that Mr. Fisher's made on his Porsche, I think. It's just obviously looks different on the Aston Martin. Zanshin, P5. Haven't looked at him for a little while here. Zanshin trying to get that beast of a Mercedes turned into the corners. Terrific power and aerodynamics, but it is a heavy old car, and of course you sit further back relative to the front of the vehicle than most any other of the cars here. So we've at least enabled one thing that we intended to on the screen. I can have another go in a moment, but I don't want to bore everybody. Nat, 3.3 seconds ahead of Comacopa. Plenty of work still to do, though, to make this race work out nicely for him. 41 minutes, 47 to go in our race. Behind him, that is Comacopa debuting. This is his first race, Comacopa, in ACC, I believe. The Alpine of Ned. ENL is his 3-letter code on his windshield, which is good. But you'll know him as Preston, as Larry is coming up behind him to make the pass. And through he comes. Larry picking up a position then into what I imagine to be 8th overall. So it shows the speed differential. Larry's been in the pits twice, once for a stop and go. And he's still managing to get ahead of some of the GT4s. 3rd in class, Ned here. Back to our leader. And he's got quite a job on his hands now to get through the leaders of GT4. He's got the additional power, though, and aerodynamics as he heads down the back straight towards turn 10. He's going to be very nervous to dive bomb down the inside here is Vic. A car in front who opens the door and almost opens it too far. Let's see if we can't find that battle. It's Chaotica versus Not See Him. Not See Him was a lot more cooperative to Viciously Vic, but plotted his attempt here as they make contact and they both go into a mini spin. I think that he will have to give up the place for that contact, and he's actually struggling to get the car turned in to the next few corners. I think he may have picked up damage in that run, potentially. Not see him in 7th, has just lost the position going for a move, tried to just shut down, I think, shut down Chaotica around the outside, and unfortunately just made that contact, spun both of them out. The official pit window is open for strategic choices to be made, with 40 minutes to go. So that opens at 40 minutes to go at the 1/3 distance in time, the 1/3 minute elapse situation, and then it closes at the 2/3 elapse time. So you can pit anytime within that window. You can split the race exactly in half for a change of the same compound tyre and a refuel if you can get through to half distance. I think most drivers will be able to do that, or you can leave it all the way late and possibly consider changing compound. But we wait to see then. This is just a pass for a GT3. So Chaotica stays P1 in class. That was second, I think that was 3rd position possibly, coming through there, but I can see Nat behind this group from P3 coming up to put a lap on Siam first. We saw what happened last time. Let's change camera, shall we? And we could perhaps look over that rear wing. Come on, there we go. That's what we want to see. Nate has cleared Siam and second on the overall standings. Nat should be able to go around the outside here, and I think just about has been able to. There he goes, flashing by before they enter this super slow chicane section at the end of the lap. And this is on board with class leader Chaotica, getting a little bit of a drift going in this GT4 Porsche. Slows him out of the final corner, and that means Not See Him has got the opportunity to close in again. Now we're going to be waiting, I think, for Komakopa to come through. Here he goes. Komakopa getting very deep on the brakes. Has to let Not See Him back through again. I think that was just a misjudgment. He hasn't had to pass slower cars before, as it's his debut race. So lots of learning happening on board the Porsche GT3 of Komakopa. Around the outside, are we? Yes, indeed. So Komakopa now finally clears the group and can go back in pursuit of Nat, who is some 7 seconds now in the lead. That has doubled Komakopa's gap to P3 overall. Komakopa, sorry, to P2, I should say. Komakopa losing ground as a result of going through that lapping sequence. Chaotica's pace relative to Siam's is sort of flowing, ebbing and flowing, as we say. Sometimes it's good and he's stretching away, sometimes he's being closed in by the Aston Martin. I don't think that's all to do with the manufacturer of the car. I think part of that is to do with driver strength and weakness through the course of this Barcelona, home of the Spanish Grand Prix for many years, but soon to lose that moniker to the Madrid circuit that will be joining the Grand Prix calendar soon enough. And I think it is way over time that we change the circuit for Formula One racing, because it is not by any stretch of the imagination a good place to go racing in Formula cars. Mr. Fish, this is not, it's not Siam, it's not even not Siam. It's Mr. Fish, as there are 16 minutes remaining in the pit window. Mr. Fish comes through in P4 now, of course, having got past Larry, thanks to Larry's unscheduled pit stops. That is very wide for Mr. Fish. He's obviously been learning those track limits, and you can go right out onto the exit there. But Mr. Fish in P4. I know a lot of people join to watch Mr. Fish race. So if you're a Mr. Fish fan, maybe leave me a fish icon, a fish emoji in the chat, and I'll know that that's what you're here for. Mr. Fish P4 overall. and of course in Class 2. Back with Larry, and Larry's 8th in class, just trying to get something back out of this race. And he hasn't been having a great deal of good luck recently, and an awful lot of bad luck in the latest hour of his racing time here in ACC. But I'm sure good things will come. He's got the pace, P3 in qualifying, very impressive qualifying pace. But currently P12 right now, and appears to be some distance away from P11, I believe. A long distance away. So a tough day's work ahead of Larry, I think. We have Bongit then, driving in the gold and red liveried number 80. Another one of the Porsches. Lots of drivers favouring the Porsche. Bongit is driving in 10th position overall, at 7th in class. Still, I think, yet to recover from the tyre choice at the start of this race, choosing the wet tyres. It was wet for sure on that opening lap, but perhaps misreading the weather forecast or being misled by his team on the weather forecast, and having to wait to change tyres, I think, and then have to suffer a little issue. This is Comacopa, and he's doing a good job now catching back towards Nat, I think, if I'm reading that correctly. But his most immediate pressing concern is going to be Timid Umbrian in front. He comes through. Anything down we go. I'm very grateful for those of you who have tuned in today. I think I might not be doing a good enough job to ask for you to like the video, but I hope you're subscribed to the channel at very least. But we will get past these struggles with ACC on PlayStation 5, even if it takes me having to install it on PC and operate it that way. But we will figure this out, I'm sure. I just need practice time, and I'm struggling for it right now, because these drivers tend to drive at a different time of day to when I'm available, but especially in practice. I will try and join it next week a lot earlier for that. The BMW moving aside then for Comacopa, and this is a lap being put on the GT3 of Timid Umbrian. So Comacopa's gap is now 6 seconds exactly to Nat. So he has recovered a little bit from that lapping sequence earlier on. Car number 72. Hanging on for now anyway. But he will have the pit stop, the scheduled pit stop, still to make, I think. We haven't seen him in just yet. That is Timid Umbrian. We've just been watching him. And we go back to this battle that has been raging all race long. Siam, P2 in class, Chaotica, P1 in the GT4 class. And they've been playing cat and mouse this entire time. And currently, if you take stretch the analogy far enough, the cat has yet to be victorious. It's a Tom and Jerry cartoon situation with Chaotica playing the role of mouse here. And I think that Porsche is more mouse-like than the slightly more feline-looking Aston Martin. But I am really pushing that metaphor now too much. This is Siam, car number 78. His gap 0.8 of a second only to Chaotica. As his fastest lap so far, 56.9. The last lap of 57.6, not too far away from his best. And remember, that pit window is open, and the drivers will be seeing exactly what they have left to do. Let's have another little look, shall we, at our settings. I think sometimes it's about controls. Let's see if you can find. Is it going to be dash page? I can't imagine it's dash page. Cycle secondary display. Let's try that at R3. Let's see if that does something. Okay, that's that's just going wrong. Let's go back. I think the problem is I keep pressing apply rather than anything else. We don't want to be saying that, do we?
Through, not over yet.
Halfway point is in the race. So back then we've got Notcium just 0.6 of a second away from Chaotica. That doesn't look like changing, but Zanshin just gets through past Preston, past Ned here, and that rear light still flashing from the rain, I think, earlier on at the back of the AMG. But he's made the pass. Glorious sounding car, the AMG. I think I would probably choose that one just for the sound alone if I were driving this. With Nat then P2, he is currently how far away? I want to say he's 22 seconds away from Vic. I think that's about right. With he should have Komakopa behind him of 8.5 now. Again, the gap opening up. I think perhaps Nat having to go through a bit of a traffic cycle there. And we are under halfway, of course. And still there are just under 9 minutes remaining of the session for the pit window being open for our drivers. There's Preston again, running P3 in class, 10th overall, and our leader of the race, picking up quite a bit of, I think that was dirt on the front of the car as he runs through. But once again, things looking pretty straightforward for Viciously Vic. Winner of the first 2 races, clearly leader of the pace here in the league. He'll be hoping we can get either some new drivers to challenge him, or some existing drivers to improve rapidly. Obviously, Komakopa was within, I think, 0.6 of a second in qualifying, but Vic doing a great job there in P1, car number 6. And a very, very good looking Ferrari GT3 when he runs through then. I'm not sure if he has yet pitted. I imagine not. And here he comes, just on cue, just as I was about to press the button to skip through. Here he goes. It's 50 kph in the pit lane. It's a very, very slow one. This is Backmarker Racing. He's not. He is actually at the back of the grid, because I think it counts me as the 13th driver, annoyingly. And Chaotica, leader of class. So we've got both leaders of both classes and the second place in class pitting now, and coming in for a change of tyre and fuel. Oh dear me, Mr. Fish isn't going to thank me for catching that one on stream, and he just has a few palpitations, I think, for a moment. Manages to get himself getting back level, just trying to cool those tyres off. That won't have been a comfortable moment at all. And he is then going to go through the achingly slow chicane here. I wonder if that means it's pit stop time for him. It's not. I think the orange number 1 in against their name is to say that they have one required pit stop to make. I think I'm right in saying so, because Larry didn't pit during the pit stop window. I know he's been in the pits twice, but I think he still has a pit stop to make. So he got onto a set of dry tyres after lap 1 or 2, I think. But now he will probably run towards the end of the pit stop window. And he's currently only 11th, unfortunately. And 8th in the class, qualifying 3rd overall. He, for one, will probably be disappointed that Chaotica has joined, sorry, the Komakopa has joined, because he's managed to be pipped by Chaotica on the line. I was hoping we might get Komakopa to have a little race with Viciously Vic on lap 1, but sadly it wasn't to be. Bongit is running 6th at the moment, and he's just heading towards that white Mercedes AMG of Backmarker Racing. So Bongit then manages to make that pass, or that lapping cycle nicely. and he is running. I think he still has a pit stop to make. We'll see if he heads into the pits at the end of his lap now. Try and get you a couple of cars challenging each other on screen in a moment. Just want to see if he pits, and if he does his number 1 next to his name disappear on us. Just through some great camera angles here, despite the fact that we're on PS5. Still, the game, the sim platform looking really good. Comacopa then, P3. Tim Adumbian in 7th. And then we've got Notseum, who instead of battling with Chaotica, has lost 2.3 seconds in the course of the pit stop, and has fallen into the clutches here of 10th place and 3rd in class Preston in the Alpine. So this one should be an interesting one. That Alpine looking like it's in a different class altogether to the Aston Martin. Much more compact front end of the car. This is the great thing about GT racing, is you do get these road suitable cars, as Preston almost collides then with the Aston Martin, going into the slow right-hander. Thankfully keeps his head and keeps control without making contact. And we head down in towards turn 10. And Viciously Vic is now closing in to put another lap on this GT4 battle. That's Vic in the Ferrari, trying to find a way past Ned. I think he will be doing it shortly, but he's very nervous. Of course, he can lose a significant lead, can Vic, following these cars. This is a really difficult part of the racetrack to happen upon several of them. Should get at least Ned down the straightaway. Coming out of the final corner now. So Vic with a better set of grip and a new set of tyres. Pit stop window is only open for 3 further minutes. I think this or the next lap for most of the drivers right now will be it, if they have yet to make those pit stops. Vic then looking for that opportunity down into turn 1, but he just couldn't catch, as then it looks like this is Siam just slowing here, and again he might suffer because Ned has caught him, and going through turn 3 is Ned. He's got the inside line for the next 2 corners, including this one, and this is a change for position we are seeing. Car 5 ahead of car 78. He's on unfamiliar territory on the inside line going into turn 4, but he holds on, and a nice manoeuvre then from Preston, and then sweeps into turn 5 and has picked up that P2 in class. Very neat and tidy. So I think problems at the start for Ned, but he's managing right now to pick up the pace and come on through, and that is fantastic to see. Some close competition here in the GT4s. The closest competition I think we have throughout the entire field is for essentially 2nd in class here, as Kirk enjoyed that one from Preston. We all know him as Preston, but on screen he is Ned, so I tend to refer to drivers by their screen name if I can. Otherwise it gets a little bit confusing for newcomers who are following, but I know you all know each other very, very well indeed. And that was a good one. I'm sure he'll enjoy watching that again when he manages to follow up with the stream later on. And I thank everybody for their continued support watching the videos throughout the intervening periods between races, especially the patience with ACC for me, as not see him then. This is the top 3 in class. This is the GT4 battle, and that's Larry behind them, closing in. I think Bongit's still yet to make his pit stop with 50 seconds remaining on the window. Everybody else has managed to make that work. Very late down on the brakes and not see him. The rear end coming out from behind him, and I think made contact. And I think thankfully for Ned there, it didn't affect Siam. I wonder if we can just try, can we, getting a replay. I really hope this doesn't kill the stream. But no. Highlights. Oh wait, that's kind of cool. I can do the highlights. Is quit? Please tell me that quit is the, is the replay screen. It is, thankfully. Okay, so Siam has come back. I'm just paranoid and frightened now at everything that's happening here on screen. Zanshin comes through in P5 overall.
The window is now closed.
And now we are closed. And I wonder if Bongit has missed the pit window. No, he's in the pits there. The P symbol on there. I wonder if it's just the entry that gets closed, because that's dodgy for him. Have a look at this though. We've got Nat, and then we've got Komakopa catching him. Now Komakopa has managed to catch Nat to the tune of 5 seconds since we were last watching these two. That's very, very impressive. I wonder if that is a change of tyre strategy for Komakopa. Or potentially it could be a mistake, of course, from Nat himself. We don't see where Vic is, but this is the battle then for second place and the second 2 steps of the podium here as they close in on Siam, we were just watching. That's Preston, where he was before, as Vic holds on to P1 and has got a significant lead. I can't even tell how big his lead is, but he's just set a new fastest lap of the race, a 1:45.452. And I feel bad not showing him on screen more than I am, but I think he's getting more screen time than last race, because we've seen him lapping occasionally. Yeah, the Ferrari driver is really doing a fantastic job here. It'd be interesting to see a race where they all race the same car, but of course they put in all their practice time on one platform and don't like to give it up. That is then Chaotica leading GT4 class, ahead of Preston, ahead of Ned, by 1.7 seconds. Now, I don't know if my eyes deceive me, but I wonder if if the racing conditions are getting a little bit worse here for the drivers. It does still seem like a fairly clear sky, fairly bright clouds, I should say, but certainly the sun has gone in, and I'm wondering whether we are planning to see some more rain in Spain. Yes, I know I had to, and I probably should have resisted the urge. Then P4 is Mr. Fish. I didn't get any fish emojis in the chat, so I'm guessing that the mighty shoal of fish supporters have not graced us today on a Saturday, as they do on a Sunday. Car 44 then. He's 10 seconds away from Timid Umbrian on track at least, and he's got a 27-second gap behind him to Bongit. Very, very comfortable position to be in. The same, sadly, can't be said for Larry here in the 77. Oh, right here, Rohan has given me a fish. Excellent. Okay. Larry then in that P11 overall, 8th in class. I'm just wondering who has done worse than Larry in class, and I don't mean that in an unpleasant way, but the start of the race certainly not going the way he had hoped today. Bongit P7, and a very scuffed up looking Porsche number 80. I think he's been off in the gravel or followed other drivers who have been off in the gravel ahead of him quite a bit. 7th place for Bongit. And this then is Komakopa, having just passed, I want to say that is Chaotica. He's just passed, and still doing a great job to close down on Nat here. And I think this is probably the closest battle we've got on screen on the track at the moment. Komakopa with a very wide line going into turn 9 there, and he keeps the car running nicely. Just going to make sure that my second screen catches up with the action. And then, just as I was talking about the weather, the sun has come out again on track, and I can stop worrying about the potential for rain in the final quarter of our race. This is Komakopa, as I said, in the number 72 Porsche, debuting today for ACC. closing in. 1.6 seconds, his gap across the line to Nat. Chaotica just behind him on track, but leading his GT4 class. I think this is Comacopa enjoying new tyres right now. I hope he's not enjoying them too much. We'll regret it later on. I think that the yellow and green bars to the left of their manufacturer symbols are indicating tyre wear, and I think that's sort of the green section, and then it fades off to yellow. You can see Viciously Vic on a yellow line there for his for I think that's tyres. At least this week we don't have the problem of trying to decode what the ping number was meaning. And we can forget about that ever happened. Comacopa following that, 2 seconds now is the gap there. Tim Dunbrian in the BMW with the Fanatec sponsorship across the top of the windshield. He's in P5. Again, quite a comfortable position for him. Mr. Fish is closing in to put a lap on him. So Tim Dunbrian with work to do, I think, to get onto a better pace here. And Jane leaves me a fish emoji as well. Fantastic. We have got the shoal following Mr. Fish, which is great to see. I love that. We've got Not See Him Ned in P10 overall. He's in third in class, recovering after that Spinella, whatever the Aston Martin team would probably call it. But he is currently 10th and 3rd in class. Preston leapfrogging him and putting in a fantastic overtake earlier on. Zanshin, haven't seen him for a little while. The back end getting a little bit slidey for Zanshin, running through the next few corners. But again, doing a great job out there. I think I haven't seen as many penalties this race. Or they happened all at the start, and I think that's to do with pitting. Perhaps pitting outside of the pit window. Perhaps it's making the wrong choice of tyres at the start of the race. We just had a really damp track. Finest amount of spray. I don't think it was actually raining, but haven't really witnessed a lot of rain in ACC yet on track. But yeah, it was a complicated situation. That is an appalling camera angle they shoot from there. But this then is Nat being chased down by Comacopa. We were riding with Comacopa earlier on. This then on board driver eye view for Nat. As his tyre data is it's not updating on the dash. I don't think his tyre data. It just stops turning for a moment. Oh, big amount of opposite lock going through there, through turn 13. Very difficult corner. You see how hard the drivers are working. And actually, the better the steering wheel rig that they've got, the harder the situation is going to be for them over the course of this hour, because they are working the wheel ferociously. Looking back then from across the McLaren rear wing towards Comacopa, who is chasing down and is caught by another section. Comacopa, though, will lose time going across the apex of turn 1. So that was temporarily down to 1.2 seconds, and it's stretched out again to outside of 2 seconds. And just give our ears a break for a second as we go back to trackside camera. I don't think we can quite live with the volume of the onboards, can we? We want a nice gentle amount of sound, I think, and we just get completely battered by the audio. Let me know what you think about the audio. Are you in agreement that it's a bit much on board with the drivers on the balance, but it's also quite quiet trackside, so it's difficult to strike the right balance there. This is Preston Ed, who is only 2.5 seconds away from Chaotica. I wonder if Ned has got the opportunity here to make a pass in the final 10 minutes. Before the end of the race. Let's have a look. Let's have a little investigate at what the engine sounds like for the car here. You can see the actual dash display has been turned off, and it's all on the steering wheel for Ned. I don't know if that's an option he's been able to do, or it's just the change from a road-going car to a race car, and they turn off the information and put it all on the steering wheel for the driver. And in ACC, it does seem like you've got a bit of a Sophie's Choice situation. You either have a steering wheel dash where you can barely see what's going on and it's always turning on you, or you have a behind the steering wheel display where your hands are covering it most of the time. I think there is an option to do this for the GT3 drivers, but of course you can't see anything from here in a GT4. So yeah, a lot of learning and balancing to do to make sure that you get that excellent view. Hopefully see the whites of the driver's eyes here. And in this car for Ned, this Alpine, you actually get no rear view at all. I imagine there's a little rear view camera displaying his rear view, but as he tries to close in on Chaotica, he's just undone the work he had been doing earlier on. And running down. Zen saying the louder engine is sort of exciting too. Hi to Zen. Great to see you on stream. I can always rely on Zen to give me really good feedback on the channel, and I really appreciate it. Behind Ned is Mr. Fish. I thought for a second that might have been Siam because they're in the same livery. They're not teammates as far as I'm aware, but this is Mr. Fish. He doesn't want to just go for it because with the blue flags, you're still going to pick up damage, and there could be penalties as well. And at this stage of the race, there's a lot to be lost and not a lot to be gained. It's not like he's chasing down a rival in front, but Ned certainly took this opportunity before to close in on a driver in front of him in class. You can still see Chaotica in front there. It's getting a little bit of understeer at this stage, and worrying, I think, about getting the balance. So occasionally we go to onboard, I think, is perhaps the right way to go. But I know Larry will probably not like trying to talk over the onboard with the level of volume there. So I'll see if I can adjust that setting as well further on. Viciously Vic. P1 from turn 1, from qualifying, of course, held onto the lead at the start, and could make this a hat-trick of wins, a hat-trick of dominant wins. And I certainly haven't seen any kind of weakness in this track today. No little spins, no off-track excursions or damage. The worst thing that's happened is that beautiful Ferrari has got a little bit dirty. I think he's coming up to Zanshin to put a lap on Zanshin now. Larry, the most immediate car behind him on track. 7 minutes to go, just over, in this endurance race for this fabulous GT racing experience. We were talking about Chaotica earlier. This is Chaotica and his gap to Ned. Ned has caught to within 2 seconds now. You can just see that gold-nosed Porsche, gold-nosed Alpine, excuse me, following this Porsche on track. Again, similar colour scheme chosen by Chaotica and Larry. I don't know if they have decided to go for teammates across division. I'll need some information on that from our audience. Zen, I know that you're not racing in ACC, but you may be aware of what's happening. I didn't see anything to suggest, but as I said earlier on, we had the problem where we didn't have up-to-date standings for the race, certainly written on Discord. So we've got the roster information, and I think it's everybody for themselves as the rain has come down now for the final portion of the race. The windscreen wipers are on. The rain is here, and it's heavy. This is really tricky for the drivers. Let's try and get on board and see how this feels. It's less bad on board, I think, than perhaps it was earlier, but we have got a final 6 minutes of real difficulty for everybody now. Nobody's position is safe in the final portion of our race, and you have to say that is a very welcome situation. Apparently he's running 0 tyre pressures here as through comes the BMW GT3. Chaotica wanting to lose as little time as possible, but of course he has a real amount of stress going on here, because behind him he will see Preston, who can use him as that braking reference. Everything that happens to the Porsche that Ned will see on board the Alpine, he can make an adjustment just a short distance further back. Comacopa is pitted. Komakopa has gone for, I'm assuming, wet tyres, but it might have been the shortest shower known to man, because right now I'm not seeing any rain on track. I saw Komakopa in the pits, presumably changing onto a set of wet tyres, but now it looks like it's suddenly dry. No, it is still raining quite heavily, just the rear view camera not really showing the precipitation. Some drivers will elect to try and stick with this. Some are going to have a hell of a time. And there you see, turning into turn 4, a real difficulty for Chaotica. And this is the lead, the win at stake for the GT4 division, and everything to lose at the moment for Chaotica, and certainly the win to gain for Ned. He doesn't want to end up losing track position. He's also picking up a blue flag and very late on the brakes into turn 5, and that's a spin and a huge impact for Chaotica coming out of the slower corner, turn 5, heading in towards turn 7 and 8, and that is the lead of the race being given up, and that's the 2 GT3s passing him. Second in class is Chaotica. Don't believe the top left of your screen. There he is. It has now been updated, and he's heavily damaged the front of the car. Komakopa with a drive-through as well. After that late race pit stop for wet tyres, I'm making an assumption here that bonnet could pop up on board here for Chaotica. He's cracked the windscreen, I think, or is it that just muck? I think it's just mud and dirt kicked up, but what an impact for Chaotica, and that is absolutely shocking for him in the rainy conditions, and that is losing a class win for Chaotica. A huge shame for him. We've got this is Mr. Fish, a fan favourite here, and he's trying to cope with this difficult conditions. I don't think he has changed his tyres, but Komakopa 4th overall now, and it will go even further back there with the drive-through penalty. I'm fairly certain that that is going to be speeding in the pit lane, unfortunately. And this then is Larry. Can he pick up some positions here? Can he avoid disaster using the painted surface on the exit of the corner with a fair degree of confidence? Larry is P8 in class, P10 overall. He ended up down at the back of the grid earlier on. Remember, that 13th driver, I think, is nominated as me. And certainly I'm not driving in these conditions. I wouldn't dare. But I've tried ACC, and it was incredibly addictive. But I was absolutely hopeless. This is Bongit then in P6 across the gravel, tiptoeing their way around as the weather gets really bad. Someone asking someone's name is Kirk. Kirk Morris, I'm pretty sure. Yes, indeed. Oh, what a moment then for Chaotica, unfortunately losing that class lead as Bongit is in 6th place. This is Komakopa heading towards his drive-through penalty that he's got to serve. It'd be a very strict post-race penalty as he's kind of backing the car in right now to turn 5. He'll have to serve that drive-through penalty. I don't think he can try and get it taken off. This is P5. Timid Umbrian in the only BMW. We've had a couple of changes for manufacturer, I think, between rounds 2 and 3, as Siam runs out wide and has managed to get his third position, but he's holding on to third position, excuse me, and it looks like Preston or Ned could well make his way through. This is Zan Shin passing class leader. He's been passed by his class leader himself, as Vic has now gone on to his final lap of the race, and Vic is almost swimming right and left in this high degree of water, and then Preston with just trying to navigate this heavy standing water condition now for the drivers. This is Nat, P2 in class, but like I say, you can't make any assumptions. I have no idea what's going on the graphics there for a moment, but we'll just gloss over that here, shall we? And this is our overall leader. This is the winner of the first 2 rounds of the race, and one of the only times I've got him on screen, and he's out on the gravel. These are slick tyres for our drivers, and they are trying to get through this final lap of the race. incredibly difficult. Look at the difficulty putting the power down. So I think that is aquaplaning in a straight line for the Ferrari. That's what we saw earlier. That was him wresting control of the Ferrari, and he'll be just a voyage of discovery here. As you can see, Zanshin is catching him. The last thing, of course, Vic wants to do is chuck away a hat-trick of victories. Comes through then, and he's already off the track again. It's just that aquaplaning. This is not the main track. He's off on an alternate configuration. What a dramatic final lap here for Vic. And if Vic is struggling, you know that the rest of the field must be feeling similarly. This is going to be frightening times for our double winner so far, as Ned lets him through. Doesn't want any part of that fishtailing Ferrari down the straight. As here he is, Vic, heading through in towards that super slow section now. I think getting on the power out of the final corner is going to be a real challenge, but this section, hopefully not struggling too much. Flash of the lights there, celebrating already, perhaps too soon. He's okay, he's straightened the car. He's now actually voluntarily steering left and right, and Vic will win his third race on the trot. And Ned then picking up, I think that is P1 in his class position. This is Chaotica, who can barely get the car around. Yeah, Ned has finished first in class. That was Backmarker Racing coming through to pick up the final position on the grid. And Chaotica limping home against the pit wall. Doesn't want to do too much of that, but crosses the line to pick up second in class. That will be a race to forget for Chaotica. There are still drivers racing though. He doesn't want to get too many problems here. I'm just trying to find the drivers coming up towards the line there. Larry is crossing the line right at the end as well. Not quite sure what's going on with Larry, but he's crossed the line. This is Komakopa coming through then to pick up, I think that is 4th overall for Komakopa. Not a bad debut. Issues and penalties notwithstanding, a good position for him. Let's see if we can find, well, this is Bongit. I can't find Timid Umbrian just yet. Here he is, P5, Timid Umbrian coming through. Car number 78 is about to cross the line. That's Siam. Siam will pick up, cross the line now. And he gets, I think that will be 3rd in class, I want to say. This is Timid Umbrian coming through. And he's actually losing time, hand over fist here. The sun has come back out again. So I think he will manage to finish this race. Stay on the racing line now that it's dry. That is a huge impact for the Porsche in front of him, but it's okay. I think done and dusted. That's Timid Umbrian across. That's Bongit taking home the next line, the next position. I'll try and find you some drivers who are finishing out this race all the same. Then Zanshin then in the Mercedes as he kicks up a huge puddle of water and through the final part of the race. Kirk saying a Ferrari winning 3 races in a row, that's rare. Indeed, it is. But Viciously Vic has been peerless. There you have confirmation that he has won the race ahead of Nat and Mr. Fish. Komakopa rescuing 4th in the end with Timid Umbrian in 5th. Bongit in 6th, Zanshin in 7th, and Preston managing to finish 1st in class, P8 overall, ahead of the crashing Chaotica in that final rain period. Larry in 10th, recovering but not managing to get back into class order, so finishing 10th overall. Siam in 11th, he had his own problems, and backmarker at the back. Jim, and it looks like Priest also having been kicked from the session, and that is 2 weeks of practice in the bin, unfortunately for Jim and Priest, so we feel for them. But great job from Viciously Vic, Nat and Mr. Fish. Of course, special mention to Ned, Chaotica and Siam for their podiums. Thanks so much everybody for watching. We will persist and try and get this fixed and working as quick and as well as possible. But thanks so much. I really appreciate everybody for watching and for supporting the channel in any of the many ways that are available to you. Thanks everyone. We will catch you on the next race day.